What's going on, UCSS family? It's your boy Tyvis Powell, filling in for G. Bush today because G. Bush big timed us. As you know, happy schedule release day for the Browns fans out there. The schedule is getting released right about now. It's been some leaks out there, but we're not even going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's official. And what's official that we know for sure off the bat is that the Cleveland Browns are starting off with the Dallas Cowboys week 1. Now, when I seen that matchup right there, I thought that was a good matchup. Listen, all we do as Browns fans is cry about how the national media doesn't talk about the Cleveland Browns enough. Like, we don't get the exposure. We had this such a great year, but the national media never talked about us. I think that this year, they said, you know what, we sick of hearing that. We're going to put y'all on the spot, Dallas Cowboys, America's team, and we're going to see what y'all do. Got Tom Brady making his first ever broadcast debut, and it's the Cleveland Browns. And you know Tom going to tell it like it is. So them quarterbacks better come to play. D. Watt better be on his stuff as sure as Dak Prescott. I think that's a perfect matchup. When you look at both teams, man, it's just talent everywhere on that field. Now, listen, we know what the Cleveland Browns got going. You know, they've been cooking. They got Ken Dorsey up in there with this new offense that I'm hearing all about. It's supposed to be something new. We're going to be throwing the ball, air raid, and all of these things. But it's going to be on full display because if you know Dallas defense, you know Dallas defense is pretty dang good with Micah Parsons, the rest of those guys up there, DeMarcus Lawrence, having that secondary is good. I don't think they got Gilly no more, so we ain't got to worry about him. But having Trey Diggs and having Bland, who broke the record for pick sixes, so they got to be careful next year. I think that is the perfect week 1 matchup. Now, I will say, you know how that preseason go. You know, they want to start some of the games and then take them away some of the games. They better come out firing because you can't go 0-1 and it's a home game, so you know that they got to come out firing. But let's take a look at the rest of this schedule and see what else we got going on. Anthony, drop that schedule for me. There it is right there. So week 1, we start off with Cowboys at home. Next week, Jacksonville. Now, listen, Jacksonville, don't sleep on Jacksonville this year. I know that, you know, they might have got rid of Calvin Ridley, and a lot of people wasn't high on Trevor Lawrence at the end of the season last year. But they went and got him some talent. Gabe Davis, whether you like him or not, everybody remember Gabe Davis for making them plays in that playoff with Josh Allen a couple of years ago. They ended up going to get the guy to LSU in the first round, Evan Ingram. It's solid. It's a solid thing. I think that's one of those games that if you go in there thinking that it's sweet, you can't be upset. But I think it also gives the Browns a chance to continue to put themselves on the map. You got Josh Allen, a premier pass rusher, going up against Myles Garrett again. So that's going to be a good matchup. I'm actually looking forward to seeing that one. Next game, the Giants. Now, a lot of people like that's a layup. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking right now. The Browns should come in there 2-0, maybe 1-1 at worst. So if they come to them Giants, I don't think it's going to be as much of a layup as you think. Now, they got, neighbors out of the draft. Still got to figure out what they're going to do with Danny Dimes. But what I like about the Giants the most is that freaking defensive line, man. They went out. Kayvon Thibodeau. They ended up getting a bunch of guys at the D tackle, Dexter Lawrence. Like, it's going to be nasty. So our offensive line is going to be tested in that game. And I think that when you look at these first 4 matchups, it's actually favorable because I think that the Browns have set themselves to know that they're not going to have Nick Chubb for the first 4 games. I think he starts the season off on the PUP list. Sorry for all the people who think that he's going to be ready. I just don't think he's going to be ready week 1. I think it's going to take a couple of more weeks, which is why I think they went out and got Dante Foreman to begin with because they needed that big body running back. And I think that's what he serves. I think by week 4, after week 4's game, week 5, I think we'll see Nick Chubb. As you see, week 4 is the Vegas Raiders. They got a new head coach over there. They got some things going over there as well. They got Christian Wilkins on that defensive line. So that's going to be nasty with Max Crosby. Offensively, they got to figure it out. Gardner Minshew is still the starting quarterback, but they still got, Devontae Adams over there. So our secondary is going to be tested in that game. I think that first game and that 4th game having them, that secondary got to come to play, and that pass rush got to be there, because if you don't, it can get out of hand. And listen, Gardner Minshew, don't sleep on Gardner. Now, Gardner, when he played for the Colts last year, he came in there, he lit us up, he hit the shimmy on us all the time. So we got to make sure that we ready for that game. They're going to be a hard-nosed team because Antonio Pierce gets the best out of them. We seen how that season ended with them. They ultimately wanted him to be the head coach, so they're going to go out there and make sure that they proved that they was right by hiring him as a head coach, and they're going to play their hardest. So I think that's going to be a tough environment. Now, the Washington one, now that one might be a layup. I would just call it what it is. I think they got a lot going on. I think having a new head coach in there, it's going to be cool because he runs a really good defense. Obviously, I've never played for him, but I always play with a bunch of guys that had played for him, and he was such a great defensive coordinator. Obviously, as his history as a head coach, everybody remembers him for choking in the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. So Washington is one of those games that I'm not necessarily worried about. I think they got some talent there, but I think they're going to get after that young rookie quarterback. Obviously, last year, when you seen this Browns defensive line, they took advantage of all of those young rookie quarterbacks and all of those things. So I expect nothing less than that. When we look at game 6, let me look at it again, Anthony. Let me see game 6. Now, this is the Steve Becker special right here. This is the Steve Becker special. Now, Steve Becker is, if y'all don't know who he is, he's the VP. He's the guy that's in charge of everything. He is a Phillies fan. He tells me that, they're going to smack the Browns that day. Listen, we ain't worried about y'all. Y'all defense has been trash for years and years, for the past year, okay? I don't think that it's going to be fixed in just one year. I think it's going to take some time there. Offensively, yeah, they got some stuff going on over there. They just paid A.J. Brown. They paid Devontae Smith. That's going to be a good test for our secondary. We go out there and we talk about how we the best secondary in the league. Now, that's a game where you got to prove it, because Jalen Hurts is going to sling that peel. And obviously, if they get down to that 1 yard line, that tush push coming. But I think defensively, I think our offense at that time, I think that's a perfect time. Nick Chubb comes back. I think he'll be back at that time. So you get to insert him in. He'll probably been back from that Washington game. So that means that he'll have a game under his belt. He'll be able to get out there and spend a little bit more against the Eagles. So I think that's a perfect game. And I think the NFL actually looked out for us on that one, trying to make sure that we full strength when we go up against some of these superior teams. So I actually like where that Eagles game is right there. Hopefully that offense is clicking on all cylinders right there. Now, when we go look at game 7, let me see what game 7 was. Let me see it, Anthony, game 7. Now we move into conference play, and I think that this was perfect. Oh, this is perfect. You get 6 games to go up against other competition. Everybody know the AFC North is the toughest division in football. If that's the case, now we get 6 games to figure out how we want to play offensively and defensively. And we get that by game 7 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Joe Burrow, he's coming back from injury just like Deshaun is. So they're going to have some things figured out at that time. But I think that by that, both teams should know who they are. You should establish the type of team that you're going to be. And I think that they're just going to pick up where they left off. Listen, I talked to a lot of guys in that Browns building, and I'm telling you right now, they are the most confident in this season. They really feel like last year, even with all the injuries, they felt like they should have won the Super Bowl last year because they felt like they were that good. And it starts with trying to dominate the AFC North. So that Cincinnati game, they're going to want some get back because of last year. They thought it was a fluke with the rain. Obviously, we know Kevin Stefanski's history against Cincinnati. He is completely dominant against them. I don't expect nothing different. Even though I think Cincinnati is in the Super Bowl or nothing this year, pending all of those guys that they got asking for trades, or this is the last year of their contract. This is an all or nothing year for them. You can tell by some of the moves that they made, getting Trent Brown in there, right tackle, drafting another tackle, trying to really shore up that offensive line, getting Zach Moss at running back. I think it's going to be a really, really good game now. Physicality-wise is where I think the Browns ultimately take over in that game. It's something different about them Cleveland Browns, man. They nasty down there in them trenches. They don't play no games, man. They got no love for nobody, and they back down from nobody. And I think that is the most important thing about that Cleveland Browns team. That's what made them so special last year. And I don't expect nothing to change, especially when I'm talking to everybody in that building and talking to some of those coaches. They demand greatness out of those players. Let me see the rest. All right, Baltimore. Now, this one is going to be good because, as you know, Baltimore, Deshaun, hopefully everybody's healthy in this game. Last time we seen Baltimore and everybody was healthy, excluding Nick Chubb, Deshaun did what he did. And that was the game that everybody was like, you know what? This team is playoff ready. This team could do whatever they want to do. And Deshaun obviously went out there and did it with the messed up shoulder. Guess who else knows that? Baltimore knows that. So they're going to come out there and they're going to be real spicy. That game is at home too. So you know the dog pound going to be going crazy for that game. And they got Derrick Henry now. So it's going to be a very physical game. I'm interested to see what they do. I think that game right there is going to tell me, it's going to dictate the rest of this season, how it's going to go. You know, if the Browns go out there and they go out there and they bang head to head with them, and Deshaun goes out there and he's looking good, he's throwing the ball, he's making those plays in the fourth quarter and crunch time, then that let me know that this thing is real. Like they really are something special. Because what he did last year, like I said, everybody lives on that. Everybody hangs their hat on that. And a lot of people, after he left, after he got injured and said he was out for the season, you know, they kind of didn't. That was like the turning point. Now he can win them back over. They want to know, is it a fluke? Can you beat Baltimore consistently? That's the question. If you can do that, that makes you a franchise quarterback. So Deshaun's got a lot to prove. Nick Chubb's got a lot to prove. And that defense definitely got a lot to prove, because that Derrick Henry thing, he going to wear you down. Don't get me wrong. When he played for Tennessee last year, that defense ultimately stopped him cold in his tracks in a lot of that game. And he was not he was a non-factor when we played Tennessee. I don't expect that to be the same thing. I think having Lamar Jackson and him back there is difficult. Everybody got to be disciplined. Everybody got to put their big boy pads on. Everybody got to be gap sound, gap discipline. So I think that's going to be the turning point. If they win that game right there, that tells me that this team is for real. This team is a Super Bowl team. Let me look at the rest of that schedule. Chargers, obviously they going through some change there. Yeah, they got somebody that I ain't, you know, they got Jim over there. We'll see what he does over there as a head coach in the NFL. Obviously, everywhere he's gone, he's always done well for himself there. So I expect him to pull it together. I think that they kind of did them a favor by giving them the Browns that late. You know, thinking that from a Charger standpoint, at that point, Jim has come in, he's laid down the foundation, he's gotten them to play the way he wanted them to play. It should be a good game, should be a shootout. Every time we've played the Chargers, last time I think about when we played the Chargers was the game, and I think Baker threw for like 300 yards, but we ended up losing the game. So I don't expect nothing differently in this game. Obviously, they got a lot of pieces to put together. Justin Herbert is special. I think they did a really good job of going to get some weapons, you know, to try to replace Mike Williams, try to replace Keenan Allen. I think it's just going to be about if they got it together by then. It's got a lot of young guys that they're dependent on that's got to step up. But ultimately, that D-line is just as talented, if not maybe a little bit better, because they got Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa on the edge. So if those two are playing at a Pro Bowl, all-pro level, that game can be very scary. I think it would tell us a lot about our tackle situation. Obviously, you know, we got so many tackles. We got 3 tackles now. I think by that time we should figure out who's going to be what and if these guys are for real. You know, that's going to be a big Jed Wills game for me. If he's able to, you know, stop Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack consistently and keep Deshaun clean, I think he earns his money that game. I truly do think that that's the game that they're going to circle and say, if you want to get paid as a premier left tackle, that's the game where you can show that you can be a premier left tackle. So be on the lookout for that one. That one's going to be a really good game as well. So far, I'm really liking this Brown schedule right now. Bye week. Now, they finally showed us some love after really making it bad last year, making that bye week, week 5, I think it was last year. They finally give them week 10 right there in November, which is perfect, right, almost smack dead in the middle of the season, let you hit that reset button, get your body right, get that week off, coming off of that and going to New Orleans, that's a good game because they hitting the reset button and you're not giving them a very, very tough opponent. Don't get me wrong, New Orleans, they got some decent players over there, but for the past couple of years, since Dennis Allen's taken over, that has not been the same New Orleans Saints. I don't even think they've been making the playoffs. So I love the fact that they get that type of game coming out of that week off to be able to get back in their groove and get things clicking. Should be a good game. So let me see the next one, Ant. Here we go. Thursday night primetime game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's at home. Oh my gosh. This one's going to be very emotional. Nick Chubb should be back by then. He's got a bunch of games under his belt. Obviously, the whole storyline that week is going to be about Nick Chubb getting injured by Micah Fitzpatrick last year, and we got to hear about that. So we already know Nick Chubb is going to be on a mission. Don't know exactly if Kevin Stefanski's going to give into it and let Nick Chubb just spin that game, just get back, or if they're going to be just high into this high-powered passing attack that we're going to have. So I'd be very bad if Nick Chubb don't get at least 150 yards rushing that game. So Kevin, let Nick Chubb spin that game. I think he's going to run the ball extra angry that game. Let me see what's next. Denver Broncos. Now, just like Nick Chubb going to be mad the week before, Jerry Jeudy got a lot to prove in that game. Monday night, too. We got back-to-back primetime games where all eyes is going to be on the Cleveland Browns. Listen, Jerry Jeudy, that's your chance. They traded for you. It's been a team. The Browns have liked you for the past 2 years. They finally pulled the trigger on it, paid you, made the trade for you. It's time to show out. At that point, you got all the chemistry in the world. You're going to be extra excited because you're going against your former team. Anytime you go up against a former team, it's extra motivation there. Whether things ended good, bad, or indifferent, you always are extremely motivated to go up against your team that you went against or that you played for before because you felt like, they didn't like you. They traded you for a bag of chips. That's probably what they traded. I was a first round pick and they traded me for some late round picks. Like, what is that? So he's going to prove a lot in that game. I definitely look for him to get going. If he don't touch 100 yards that game, we need to really question if we made the right decision paying him. Let me see the next game. Next game, Pittsburgh. Dang, we only get 2 weeks out. I've never been a fan of when they do this. When we play Pittsburgh 1 week and then boom, we come right back. We skip a game, then boom, come right back and play Pittsburgh again. I've never been a fan of that because you know how physical of a game that is, how much hate is in that game. So you're going to make sure that they come right back and bang right again. Like, I'm not a fan of that, but I do think to try to go in Pittsburgh and win is something that Deshaun didn't even do last year. It's been a while. I don't think it's been a while, but we haven't won there consistently. And like I say, if this team want to show me they for real, you got to be able to go into hostile environments and win games. I don't need to hear this. I'm tired of this narrative of y'all play well at home, but y'all not good on the road. Like, I don't want to hear that this year. Like, y'all been playing together for a whole year. It's the same playbook defensively. So y'all got to show up. Y'all got to find a way. We know towards the tail end of that season last year, that's when the production from that D-line started to tail off outside of Alex Wright. Alex Wright kept the thing whole, kept the thing going. But Miles, you better keep going, man. You got to go off because TJ Watt going to keep bringing it. That just what it is. TJ Watt's going to be a guy that comes in there and tries to destroy and be a game wrecker. You think about when we went there last year, pick 6 to the house, forced a fumble. Ultimately, we lost the game in the fourth quarter because of turnovers. So that game is going to be a real one. Again, offensive line, tackles, better be ready to roll. Bill Callahan ain't there, so we better make sure we find a way. We still are productive and we still can make things happen. It's going to be a big Andy Dickerson game. Make sure that he got that offensive line ready to play. Let me see the next one. I see everybody in the comments. Y'all got 11-6, 12-5. We gonna play that at the end. We gonna look at that at the end. Kansas City, man. All right. If you want to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. And I like the fact that it's late in the season like this, because this is when games matter. December, the month of December, all games in December matter. Everybody's playing their heart out, because at this point, now you looking forward. You know if you in the playoffs, or you know if you in the hunt. Every game matters. So that means Kansas City's going to bring everything they got, and the Cleveland Browns is going to win it, bring everything they got. Listen, last time we played Kansas City in that playoff game, and we lost that game, don't get me wrong, Patrick Mahomes got hurt in that game, and I hear all that. But that Cleveland Browns team was playing really good to try to win that game. And they feel like, obviously, the helmet to Higgy, and obviously Baker throwing the pick at the end, and Chad Henne getting the 4th and 12, like those little things kept them from winning that game. But they feel like they can win that game. They feel like they up there with the Kansas City Chiefs. Guess what? You get a chance to prove that. Deshaun Watson, last time him and Patrick Mahomes seen each other in the playoffs, we know what happened. That's when Patty Mahomes became Patty Mahomes. And Deshaun knows that. Deshaun knows that he got to go out there and finish these games. So it's no mistake that they put this game in December right there where it means the most, because they want to see who going to fold. They want to see if the Cleveland Browns is for real. So they got to be ready to go in that game. That's going to be everybody going to be at that game. Where that game? Let me see that again. Where that game at? And it's in Cleveland? Oh, man. It's a 1 o'clock. That game might get flexed. There's no way that they keep that game at 1 o'clock. But we'll see. All right, next Thursday night game. Man, we got some primetime games this year. That's what, 3 so far? 3 primetime games, night games? Yeah, they showing the Browns some love. Thursday night game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, we know what Joe Burrow's going to do Thursday night. It's going to be a lot of chattering going on. Jamar Chase, they didn't already went up against each other once. Hopefully, Cleveland takes that one second time around. Like I said, when it matters the most, both teams are going to be ready to go. And right now, this last stretch is starting to look pretty brutal. Kansas City, then Cincinnati. My Lord, who's next? Oh, yeah. The month of December is it. The month of December is going to be something wicked. The Miami Dolphins, and it's prime time, Sunday night football. First of all, that's what you want. And they coming to Cleveland. You know what? That might be in Cleveland's favor. You got Miami. You know, they really don't like to play in the cold. We seen the last year when they played Kansas City in the cold, it didn't go well for them. So maybe that works in the Cleveland Browns' favor. I know the last time we played Miami, Myles Garrett was talking about they seen what it looked like on tape, but when you see it in real life, it looks different. And trust me, I've been on that field before, and I said the same thing. On tape, it looked like, all right, we can handle that. I can handle all those adjustments and stuff. But when you see that speed and them guys get to moving, it is different. So the Cleveland Browns going to have to come out with their lunch pail. Hopefully that cold weather. I want it to be cold. I want it to be a snow game, actually, just to see how the Dolphins handle it, just to see if they really about that life. I would love to see the Cleveland Browns play the Miami Dolphins in a Snow Bowl game right there. We seen how they handle it, where Deshaun handled his first snow game in that New Orleans Saints game. Didn't end with a dub, but I still like the production, and I think he's used to it, to whereas the Miami Dolphins isn't. What's the next game? The last game to finish the season off, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, Week 18. Man, they did us all right. See, they showed us some love in the beginning, but they did us no favors. Listen, it's a graphic going around showing that the Cleveland Browns has the toughest schedule in football this year. Now, when you look at this, you got to think about the fact that, first of all, the AFC North is the toughest division in football already. So off the top, we already knew that they was going to have a tough schedule, because just winning your division is tough. But, man, they got some Super Bowl contending teams, Kansas City, the Dolphins, Dallas. Man, they really trying to find out if last year was a fluke or if the Cleveland Browns is the new Cleveland Browns. And I think we'll get a good answer of those things. So, y'all want to play this schedule game. Before I play this schedule game, let me tell you about some of the things we got going on. You can catch my man Adam the Bull and Zach Meisel on the Ultimate Guardians every Monday at 10 a.m. Man, if you love baseball, or even if you don't and you want to learn the game, these are the two guys that know baseball inside and out. They can tell you about the pitching, they can tell you about the hitting, they can tell you about prospects. They are really top of the line, and I learn something every time I hear these two guys talk. So make sure you check out that Ultimate Guardians on Monday. Also, on Tuesdays, we got my man Mikey McNuggets and Jason Lloyd talking Ultimate Cavaliers. Right now, the Cavaliers is playing. They are down 1 point in the third quarter, 57-58. No Donovan, no Karras. It don't matter. This team got some fight in them, and they are going out there and they balling right now. So make sure you check out those two. They got the inside and out. Obviously, Jason Lloyd is always around the NBA locker room. He knows a lot of inside stuff. And Mikey McNuggets give you some of the best breakdowns, and he explains it in a way that you'll understand it. You'll learn a lot if you listen to Mikey McNuggets. A lot from a D3 guy. All right. So as we look at this schedule, we're going to talk about some of the toughest matchups. If I can pick the toughest matchups in this game or in this schedule, I'm easy. Obviously, you gotta pick Baltimore. Baltimore is 1, Kansas City's 2. The Dolphins will be nice. That's 3. And I'm not as high on the Eagles as everybody else is. Sorry, Steve. I'm just not. Like that defense thing really gets to me. I think that they look flawed last year. I think I'm more concerned for Dallas than I am for Philly. I think, like I say, defensive Dallas, when you look at who they have on their roster, like they got playmakers. They got having my boy Zeke back. I don't know. Everybody's like, he's out of it. He don't have it no more. Zeke can still be a productive running back. He can definitely wear a defense down. And that's what you want, for a guy like Dak Prescott. If you're going to be a heavy passing team, you want that big bruising running back, because now those linebackers have to come up and step up and take those hits, because they don't want to give up those extra yardage. Now Dak Prescott can run play action, and now things is all on the secondary. So with that being said, I'm going to say Dallas. I think that first game of the season, those jitters, is going to be tough. But I think that dog pound going to be loud and proud, and I think that the Browns going to find a way to win that game. But let's play the record game, because I'm looking in the comment section, and I tell you what, y'all, it's some high hopes. So let me see that. Let me see that. Go to it. Go to the schedule again. Let me look at. We're gonna go win, loss, win, loss. Let me see that schedule, Anthony. All right, so it's Dallas 425, first game of the season in Cleveland. I'm gonna say the Browns win this game. They've been 2-0 the past 2 years on opening games, so I'm gonna say that streak lives on. So I'm gonna say 1-0. When we play Jacksonville, I don't think Jacksonville is going to have it together. I think they have a great coaching staff, and obviously they're going to be prepared, but I don't think that everything's going to come together with all of those new weapons. So I think playing them at that time is perfect. So I'm going 2-0. When we play the Giants, not having Saquon, Devin Singletary is good, but I don't think he's, game-breaking like Saquon would have been. And Danny Dimes, he's going to try to prove a lot this season. I think he's going to have a big bounce back year, but I don't think it's going to be right then and there, because like I say, his best weapon is a rookie. He's still trying to figure things out. And that secondary for the Cleveland Browns is top of the league. So I think that they're going to give him a lot of trouble. So I'm going 3-0. Man, Browns 3-0 off the top. For week 4 against the Raiders, I think that one's going to be much more of a shootout. I don't think they're going to trip over their feet, but you never know. Like, stuff happens in this league, and it's an away game, Vegas. Let's just say that they lose that game. I'm going to say 3-1 to start. Washington 4-1. Next question. Going against the Eagles. I think this game going to be very close. Although I don't respect their defense, I do think their defensive line is pretty good, especially on the interior, having those 2 Georgia players in the interior. Secondary-wise, they're old. Bradbury is old. Slay's getting old. That's why they drafted, all these corners in this year's draft. I don't think they're going to play right away. I'm I'm going to say that game, it looked like Cleveland should win that game. Cleveland should win that game. So I'm going to say, boom, Cleveland wins that one. Cincinnati, they're going to win that game. Baltimore at home. Baltimore at home. Barring that everybody's healthy. You know what? I'm gonna say that they lose that game. I'm gonna say the Cleveland Browns lose that. They're not going 17-0. Y'all gotta cut that out. All right, cut that out. They're not going 17-0. I would love to see them go 17-0, but that's not gonna be the case. After looking at this schedule, I like 12-5. I'm gonna be a little bit reasonable. I'm gonna say that the Browns go 11-6. That's where I'm at. I think that when you look at this roster and you look at this schedule, it's very favorable. I think that if they figure out what they want to do offensively and the team that they are going to be, and if that passing attack really is Ken Dorsey got Deshaun Watson looking really good, then in December it's gonna be crazy, because we're gonna see it on full display. So I say 11-6 just to be safe. 13-4, but I want to see. Look at that. That right there is being reasonable. 11-6. Division winners. We ain't won the division. Nah, listen, we ain't won the division in quite some time, and it's there for the taking. No matter how you want to look at this roster or look at this schedule, I ain't ready. I don't know if I'm ready to go there. More likely, Browns 13-4 or Tigers actually take. Well, I mean, if you want to be fair about that one, you know that the other one is a guarantee. So, let's stop that right there. Y'all out of pocket. Y'all out of pocket today. Listen, either way it goes, I think the NFL did the Browns a little bit of good this year after really screwing them last year with having that bye week early, and you seeing how those injuries started to play a part of that season. I think now when you look at this schedule, they give them the bye week middle of the year, which is exactly what you want, really at the halfway point. You get some of those, you get some teams that's trying to figure things out. You're going to get some good competition in there that's going to test you. They got different skill sets, different ways to win the game. So by the time they hit the division, I think that it's perfect that they went up against all these teams to essentially knock the rust off. So when they get to the division, they're clicking on all cylinders. I like that. They do have a really good chance of winning this division this year. But like I say, it ultimately comes down on number 4, especially if this is going to be a heavy passing attack. It's going to come down to number 4 again. If he's healthy and he's making the right reads and he's making those plays and he's into it, then this team can definitely win the division, and they could do something that they have never done in a long time around here. And that's win a Super Bowl. So, yeah, and then when it comes to December, we're going to find out if this team is for real or not. That's because they did them no favors in December at all, which is what you want. We want competitive games in December when both teams have to have it, when both teams want to win. And that is exactly what you're going to get. You get primetime games. So if they win these primetime games, they're getting put in front of national media, that they're going to be the only thing that people want to talk about. They getting everything they want. The Browns have to put on this season. This is a put up or shut up season. If the Browns don't make things happen and make some noise happen this season, they don't have a remarkable season like they did last year, then you can't never say that the national media didn't try to look out for you. They're going to give them the ammunition that they need to not talk about the Cleveland Browns. But if the Cleveland Browns come in there, strap up them chin straps, kick down that door, go in there, hit everything moving, run, catch, run over everybody in the way, then they're going to be the most talked about team. And like I say, the difference between this year and last year is that there is no creeping up on nobody. Everybody's seen what y'all did last year. Everybody know that y'all are for real. Everybody know that y'all physical. Everybody know that y'all tough. Y'all beat freaking the 49ers last year with y'all third string quarterback. Like, everybody knows these things. So when they play y'all this year, it ain't no Cleveland is Cleveland like Michael Parsons said. It ain't that. No, it's you better put your helmet on and be ready to go for 4 quarters because these guys is banging. So I expect nothing less than a really good season from the Cleveland Browns. Can't wait to watch it with y'all. Glad that this schedule came out. Hope to see y'all at some games. Be in the dog pound, loud and proud, and we're going to cheer this team on to the Super Bowl. Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. This was great. Filled in for my boy G. Bush. See y'all when I see y'all. Peace.